So, dude, I knew this would happen eventually. Check it out. I'm going to run this trailer. So there we are, right? There we are with the, oh, geez. The game is it like this? Anyway, the game is I don't know why it switched. But anyway, so what you just seen there was a copy of that a pretty much one-for-one copy of that Dark and Darker, right? And I knew this would happen because the issue with Dark and Darker is that it was super popular and it got taken down in its prime and it has not recovered. And it sucks because it is available to play. But man, it just did not recover. And what also sucks is the people who made it very poorly. And when you're kind of a landmark game for a specific genre, and I realize that they're not super innovative, right? They just took a few things that converged and made the game that people wanted. They took like, oh, you like the looter shooter, okay, we'll put that in there. You like the dungeons, quick dungeons, okay, we'll put that in there. Oh, you like PvP, we'll put that in there. Okay. But they've done it very poorly. I as a game dev, I have seen how they put their maps together and how they're doing things. It's very rough. The way that their combat checks, hitboxes, the way that you could get caught on walls, on objects. I know from a developer standpoint that what they're doing is not, I wouldn't call it wrong, but it's just, a little jank there and a little jank here ends up with a product that doesn't feel as good as it could, right? No one looks at Dark and Darker and says, man, that fucking combat felt so good. No one says that, because it doesn't. Okay? It doesn't feel amazing. It could. It's like, what's the best thing that they do in the whole game? Maybe UI? And obviously the hitboxes, and the hitboxes when it comes to exploring the world and objects are kind of janky as well. And that mostly has to do with settings within Unreal, which is what they use to run that game. There are things that you could change in Unreal to fix those, and they either don't know or don't want to put the time, which equals money, into refining that because they've got other things to worry about. But they've been given a lot of money. And not only have they been given a lot of money, they've been given a lot of time, and the progress is not what you would call super amazing. and they never recovered from losing all those players. And I know that eventually there will be a game to completely replace them and forget about them completely. And I think that that sucks, and I think it is what it is, right? They got dealt a bad hand. They should have had 1 million players for a first few years. You know, they should have had their day in the sun, but they didn't get that because they were taken off of Steam, and then they just never recovered. But I knew eventually there would be somebody to replace them. I don't know if it'll be that game, but I will say that aspect of the game really, somebody will come and replace them, okay? But I do think that whatever company does that has to come with the A game. You can't make a game worse than Dark and Darker. You have to come and fix every issue with Dark and Darker if you want to replace it as that kind of quintessential jewel on top of the player's something metaphor. Anyway, if you want to replace them, you must do it better, right? If, you know, but I think it's very easy to do a game like that better. Fix the combat, make it more fulfilling, make it more fair, take the classes, really drive home the that the classes aren't just an amalgamation of checkboxes, which they are right now. You know, you say, well, what makes a class this class? And I would say like the ranger has a bow. Okay, well, why don't you make it more in depth? You know, they keep saying coming soon on their, you know, talent tree specific to the class. That would have helped. There's a lot of class identifying stuff that would really help set the mood for those classes and make them feel unique and not just interchangeable. You know, it's like, oh, well, you know, you're not a wizard now. You're a warlock because you have this, but yeah, you have the same spells as this guy, but now you have this spell, and that's what makes you different. And it's like, that's not enough. That is not enough class expression. So that's very easy to beat if you were to make a game like this. And there's just several things that overall will be easy to beat if someone were to come out with them and make the next game like that and make it good. You know, quick dungeons is an idea that has been played around with and very poorly implemented. I don't know why companies can't do it. All of us would agree that one of the things that, you know, like say WoW, if you took out a majority of WoW but left the dungeon aspect, you still have 60% of WoW, and most of the players would still be interested in that aspect. Take out all the trade scaling and bullshit and questing, and you would still have people play the game because they like running the dungeons. Now, I get that some people see it as a chore, so they won't agree with that, but I will say you still do it, and you do it a vast majority more than you do other stuff in the game. And what I'll say is there are things that players are aware of, and then there's things that players are not aware of when it comes to how they experience a game and what do they do. If you spend more than 80% of your time queuing and playing dungeons, in my opinion, even if you think it's a chore, if I took that from you, you wouldn't play the game. So there's stuff that people are aware of when they play a game that they're being done too, and then there's stuff that they're not aware of. An old WoW balances very differently, so the people who do not like that, which is actually a much smaller majority, play the other version because it is more akin to the things that they like. But I will say the vast majority that people play WoW do enjoy those things, and companies could take those singular things that make up the game. If I say, well, this game, like WoW, like if this game is mainly get better stuff, then you have a game like like Path of Exile and Diablo could easily fill that void. That thing that you like. Maybe not Diablo today, but I am saying that there are aspects of those things that can fill that thing that you like. And when that is done, you enjoy that game. Because that's all really games are in the modern era, is building upon systems that other people created that most people liked. And it's the same with movies, really. And I think that that is super important. And I think that there will be a game to come and replace it. And I don't know if it's that one, but I will say that at the end of the day, the way that games work, we will see a revival of the Dark and Darker-esque games, I'm sure, because it's been long enough for someone to make one. And I know there was some on mobile, like, copying them, sure, when they went under. I say when they went under, when they got removed from their kingpin position on Steam. I mean, they had it completely locked up. They were geared up to be the game for that genre, which sucks, because I would have loved to seen what they would have done if they would have continued to get the money that they deserved. But unfortunately, things have fallen the way that they have. Things have slowed down. They just have not kept up with the pace and updates and things like that, in my opinion. And it sucks. It sucks, but it is what it is. I mean, who do you blame? Do you blame Steam? Do you blame the company that they apparently stole from? That they didn't actually? How come they can't just sue them and claim damages for an unlawful claim? I don't know. I believe Steam should be liable for taking them off without the claim being finished against them and them being proved wrong or right. But either way, let me know what you think in the comments. Let's talk about, the future of gaming and the stuff that I went over in this video. Like, let's get an actual discussion going. I'm very curious to see what other people think. And I reply to all the comments, and I will see you in the next one.